What is going on, brothers and sisters? Eric Rosen here. I am your internal strength coach, here to show you how to overcome your greatest challenges so you can shine your brightest light. I offer coaching services and also personal training services. I can do the coaching in person, I can also do it virtual. If you guys are interested in hearing more about it or would like to sign up with me, you can shoot me an email at ericrosencoaches@gmail.com, or you can message me on any of the social media outlets. So the topic that I wanted to talk about today is it's really about other people, and more specifically, it's about your interactions with other people. So there was this thing that came up um, back when I would do some Uber driving, and there was this girl who had a really just catty, like bad attitude, and she got in the car and she said something that just instantly triggered me, and with a few cuss words like in there, I told her to get out of the car. Um, Historically, I've had like a very low tolerance for people who um, either talk rudely to me or challenge me in any way. It's kind of like, I kind of perk up, which I'm sure a lot of people do, and it's ultimately it's a defense mechanism. You're feeling threatened, so you want to defend yourself. But you know, if I could have done it differently, I would have obviously not gotten upset, stayed more patient with her, and actually allowed myself to what I understand about energy now, about, just projecting feelings of love and kindness, just putting that out there. And because my belief is that that energy can actually be picked up by other people, who knows, I may have actually influenced her in a positive way, as opposed to letting her influence me in a negative way. So, between that was an old situation, but I guess it was this thing lately with this. I'm not following it that closely, but I see a lot of stuff getting posted on social media about Eminem's new album and like dissing people and people dissing him back and all this stuff. And it's like, I don't want to judge like anybody who's like following this stuff that closely. I would say for me personally, it's like there's way better ways I think to use your time than following that stuff. I think it's the equivalent of people reading like People magazines, like movie stars' lives and stuff. But it got me thinking about just how stuff like that is just perpetuating this divide between people, between me versus you. And it's a very separating thing, and it's something that unfortunately the media uses a lot. I won't go into conspiracy theory about why that is, but you see it a lot. It can even be men versus women, black versus white, race wars, just all types of things. And it's really sad to me because ultimately I think that self-exploration and learning more about ourselves and becoming aware about ourselves, learning to love ourselves and develop ourselves is like the first step. But ultimately, I think that, the evolution that needs to, I think, happen, with the human race is that, but it's also, really truly learning to love one another. And because of the world that we live in now, I think it's so impossible for so many people to see this kind of utopian concept that it just feels really touchy-feely to a lot of people. But it's just bizarre to me when people think that just because we've been here for, I don't know, however long, few thousand years, that nothing's ever going to change. Like there's, remnants of other ancient civilizations that in some ways looked, even more advanced than us. And just to think that we're just going to keep evolving, with the age of technology, and that things are just going to keep trending in that direction, and that there can never be a change. I mean, does it have to be, doom and gloom like the world, the World War apocalypse stuff that some people feel like we're trending towards? Or can we, reverse that fortune and actually find ourselves in a situation where people finally, lay down their guns, and not just like guns. I'm not like some anti-gun person, but as in like stop fighting with one another, like stop the separation, stop the dissing and just all this stuff that's going on with these rap wars or whatever. But I don't know, it just got me thinking about that really. And I mean, it leads me to actually share this too. So if you guys want to know how, when I talk about this stuff, do I believe in it so much? I mean, because I have had experiences that have led me to this belief structure. The number one thing that happened for me, I'll try to explain this as best as I can. It's really actually even hard to put into words, but I had been studying the concept of universal consciousness one night, and I went to bed that night. So I was like looking at it right before bed, which is, if you want to take something into your dream state with you, that's actually an excellent thing you can do. But I studied that, and then I was listening to this audiobook about self-love, and the guy on there was talking about how he believes that everybody has this built-in channel within themselves that they're able to access God through, kind of like tuning into a radio station. And I had also been, prior to listening to that, because I had studied the concept of universal consciousness, as I'm driving on the highway, like to and from work, instead of thinking of people that are passing me on the highway, as like the dick who cut me off or whatever, I started to envision people passing by in their cars as, like my brothers and sisters or these other souls on this planet, and consciously like directing like love to them. And I could actually feel myself in a very just amazing, compassionate, just serene state. So for whatever reason, between doing that, from studying universal consciousness and then hearing this guy talk about this built-in frequency to access God through, this, I can't even say it was a light bulb. I would more describe it as a download. A download is in like a download like from up there. Like the realization was that is how you access the God channel. That is how you have access through it. It is through the unity, through the love and compassion that you have for everyone, regardless of, I think even regardless of what they've done, but especially regardless of gender, race, status, all that stuff. And the reason I say it was a download is because, ever since then, so the crown chakra, it's up here on top of the head, kind of hovers above it. It's like around the area where a baby's head is actually soft when they're born. I've had sensations there ever since this experience, but when this experience happened, it was almost like blowing open a seal on my crown chakra when this happened. And the feeling that I had was, there was a few things. I'll try to put them into words. One was I'm crying like tears of like laughter and joy. Two, it doesn't even feel right numbering them, like it was just such a crazy experience, but it felt like every burden that I'd ever carried in my life, every emotion, every experience that was weighing me down, it felt like everything was instantly being lifted off me. I felt as light as a feather. I've never felt anything like it. And I just felt like, wow, this is it. This is the answer. This is truth. Like the feeling in my body was such a strong inner knowing, and just this feeling of the crown chakra being blown open. This was the only feeling that I've ever had that was unmistakably divine. Even doing things like ayahuasca ceremonies, channeling, any of that stuff could be construed as, me more like having a conversation with like my subconscious, like my inner truth. This was totally something else. So that's how I've come to the belief structure that I've had, and that's also why I'm inclined to sit here and discuss with you guys how important it is to not be separated from your brothers and sisters, to offer them love and kindness, to stop judging people. Maybe the way to start is checking out the book, The Judgment Detox. I'll be honest, I haven't read it, but the gal who wrote it, Gabby Bernstein, is a big believer that that is one of the biggest problems in our society now, is people judging other people. Judgment is the way that is going to keep people separated, keep them from coming together. And the judgment, because it is a projection, is coming from these darker places within yourself. And that's why I always preach the shadow work. Do the fucking shadow work. So what does it look like, people coming together? I don't really know, to be honest with you. I can tell you though that it's probably, I will tell you that when it does happen with people, with a group of people, I can tell you that it just feels right. Like there's unquestionable that it's like, yep, this is it. This is what God intended. He didn't intend, for people to, fight in his name, fight over religion. I mean, definitely not. But I always like to try to give an action item for you guys. So my action item would be, and I'll do this myself, I want you guys to go out and speak to a neighbor that you've never spoken to before, and just strike up a conversation with them. And if they're not inclined to talk with you or whatever, and it doesn't seem cordial, that's okay. Because you put that frequency out there to go out there and take action to try to connect with someone else that you wouldn't otherwise connect with. And I think this is important in this day and age where there's a lot of fear getting propagated, especially in the news media outlets, to get out and talk with people, talk with your neighbor, and realize that there are like good, kind-hearted people out there. I'm sorry if all of your neighbors are assholes, but I'm sure that you can find like one decent neighbor who doesn't scream, "Get off my lawn," or something. But that's what I got for you guys today. So again, the coaching's available. If you guys want to go deeper with anything that's that you want to work on or that's ailing you, even if you just want to understand more how to heal your relationships or how you can be more compassionate, I can help with that. I can absolutely help with that. And I can help you get fit too, fit as fuck. So if you guys are interested, shoot me an email, ericrosencoaches@gmail.com. I am going to get out of here, but I'm going to keep putting these videos out, and I will see you guys later. Take care.